Hello. Today I'm checking out. Give myself a bit more arm space on the camera because I always wave my arm around and then it goes out of the frame. There we go. Today I'm checking out Tic Tactic. This is a game that's been on the channel before. It was submitted to Indies Under the Knife. I thought it was really interesting. And as is usually the case with games that get submitted to Indies Under the Knife, the creator then joined our Discord, so I've been kind of keeping tabs on the game since then. And I just wanted to give the demo a bit of a longer play today because the demo is out on Steam. You can play it. There should be a link to it in the description of this if I've done my job properly. Tic Tactic. A really interesting premise of taking tic-tac-toe or noughts and crosses and doing more stuff with it. So, yeah, let me know what you think. I quite liked this last time I played it. I haven't played it in a good few months now. It's probably been 4 or 5 months, I'm not sure. And I want to see what they've done with it. And tic-tac-toe is often used in kind of game studies or game design theory as an example of a game that, when you're an adult, is kind of solved for you. So you sort of stop finding it fun to play at a certain point because there are just rules of like the best way to play at any given moment, right? Like you usually want to take the center, and then you just are looking for the other player's opportunities and then trying to block their opportunity. And that means that tic-tac-toe can be a very fun game when you're a kid and you haven't quite learnt those rules. But when you're an adult and you've got them locked firmly in your head, then there's nothing there really except for just trying to catch the other person out or hoping that they're not paying attention. We've had adaptations to this. You know, putting things in a line is a kind of backbone of match 3 games. It's Tetris. It's what we're doing in Connect 4 as well, which also introduces kind of gravity. But the way that Tic Tactic kind of develops this is to turn the tic-tac-toe into a kind of little combat game. So if you've played things like Puzzle Quest, where you're doing a match 3 and then some combat is happening, we've got a similar kind of approach here, but it's with tic-tac-toe. And I'm really interested to see where this goes and what's happened with it since I last saw it. So thank you for tuning in. And I've had to put this text along the top of the screen to let people know, if you want to send me a game to play, you need to do it via the website, indiegameclinic.com. Don't email me a game if you've got my email address somewhere. It will get deleted. Right? You have to use the website form. That's the only way I can manage the amount of games I get sent. I get more in a week than I can cover, and the only way for me to be able to work out which ones to show is to put them in a big spreadsheet, and the form on my website puts them in a spreadsheet for me, rather than me having to take whatever information you give me an email and put it across. So that is the reason why I have that rule. If you email me your game, I will probably just delete the email. and that sucks, but it's just how I have to operate. If you're emailing me, it is for business stuff. That is what my email is for. So if you're a small publisher and you say, hey, we've got 500 quid, will you do a sponsored stream of our game? Then I will probably play your game. But otherwise, that email is for business stuff. The submissions form on my website is for submitting games for me to potentially play on Indies Under the Knife. And this is kind of an extension of that, where we've had a game on Indies Under the Knife before, and it's just naturally interested me. So we're going to check it out again more today. Brainoid said, it's been on Turn-Based Thursday Fest. Excellent. Yeah, I love that the turn-based games are getting some love in the turn-based fest. Where is it? Is it still open? Is it still up? Is the festival still a thing? We've got bundles. It made me laugh. Yeah, here we go. The Turn-Based Thursday Fest. It made me laugh because the wording, the marketing copy here says, celebrating everyone who makes, plays and loves turn-based video games. We're not just playing some games. We're not just getting some games for cheap. We're doing it to celebrate everyone who likes to play turn-based video games. I'm not sure I want to celebrate everyone who plays or makes turn-based video games. I'm sure that there are probably some people that make, play, or love turn-based video games. They're also into some pretty dodgy stuff. I don't want to celebrate them. I don't want to celebrate Nazis who make turn-based video games. You know? There's someone out there making, I don't know, Crystal Nacht Survivors right now. And it's a turn-based game. I don't want to celebrate that person. This is why I couldn't ever work in marketing, because everyone else loved this marketing copy. Everyone else who makes, plays, and loves turn-based video games looked at this and they thought, that's perfect, that sentence. I look at this sentence and I immediately start thinking of all the people that I might not want to celebrate that fall in that category. It's a big tent, exactly. Blue gets it. Blue in the chat gets it. It's a big tent. And I would say that as a tent, it probably has a lot of people that are very into sort of historical warfare in it. And when you get into the historical warfare crowd, you often get into the, the crowd of people that sometimes think things historically didn't happen, that the rest of the world has come to a consensus on did happen and were very bad. And sometimes they express that through, their interest in real military history, and sometimes they express it through their interest in space marines and the like. But luckily, there'll be none of that today, because today we're going to be a little green duck with a massive sword. And what more could you ask for, really? So far, match-based roguelike. We're going to be going across the lands of Brown. We're going to go from Bluesville over here. We're going to try and get to the Disneyland over here. And we've got all these different places on the way. And maybe the demo only includes these three. Maybe that's why these are darkened. That would make sense. So we're going to get to go to the Green Swamp, the Red Spicy Desert, or if we go up here, we could go to a big chocolate chip cookie. I think that's what that is. It's very spooky music. I wasn't expecting everything to feel so kind of 8-bit Halloween. Pond ruins. Okay, so if we go straight down the middle, we get a chicken, a frog, some kind of crow. If we go this way, there's a shop. And then I've got my equipment, a wooden blade. I really want to go the route that has the shop in, really, so... Is the music loud enough? The rain is a lot louder than the music. Let me just pop the sound up. I'm still experimenting with my levels because I keep finding the only way to get my mic to sound as loud as anyone else's on stream is to let it go into the red on OBS. And as someone with a little bit of a background in music production and sort of audio engineering, I find that very, very counterintuitive because the red is supposed to be red for a reason. I didn't realise that the streaming had its own loudness wars. Okay, we're picking from our tiles here, and then we're ending our turn with this, which is a lovely little icon. That's a smart little implementation there. I'm going to take the middle with that one. And the way that this develops some complexity is as we go on, we'll get tiles that do different things and have different knock-on effects and stuff. Okay, I'm putting it up as loud as I can. There we go. I hate that it can't just be right first time. This is why we need more Patreon subs, so eventually I can just work in the studio and someone else does this. I think that's what happens with people that get successful. I don't know. Okay, we're playing tic-tac-toe. At the moment, it's just regular tic-tac-toe. We're not going to get, like, any variation in this until our kind of deck of tiles changes. There we go. Amazing. Having that much build up to one strike does kind of give it a sense of tension. Fires arrows in a column. Expels lightning that chains through diagonal tiles. I'm going to go for the arrows to start off with. Yeah, the pixel sizing of the font and the other stuff is a little bit out. I feel like I've got a sort of mid-sized curved screen in front of me, and it does make everything look massive. And I kind of wonder if it would be nice to just shrink everything down a little bit and push it towards the center. Just because when you play it on a really large screen, everything gets so big you can't see what it is anymore, you know? Rotating mixels. It's a slippery slope. You start tolerating rotating mixels, and the next thing you know... you're eating human flesh. So I can't trigger that one now because it's blocked. So I wonder if there are any cases where you kind of want them to trigger their line so you can unblock something that you put down before. Which, if that's the case, it's going to create an interesting dynamic. He's got his little trident. There's a little Poseidon chicken. Oh. It's interesting because the stalemates that you get from it being tic-tac-toe, they don't feel out of place in a kind of combat game. And I think when you have like a dice-based combat game, or any kind of combat game where you are abstracting combat into some sort of mini-game, you want to think about how it feels to execute and how that like maps onto the thing emotionally. And the kind of stalemates you get sort of feel like, you know, people sort of clashing swords and then running back from each other and not hitting each other. And it sort of, I don't know, emotionally kind of feels alright. Something that could be really demotivating and feel a bit rubbish, but it doesn't. It feels decent. It feels like it fits the theme of fantasy dueling. Oatmeal, you should never admit to cannibalism. Especially not in a stream chat. The meat police are watching. When you got 4 health, when do I get healed up? A little samurai duck. Or a samurai chicken. We're a duck, we're fighting chickens. I think that's generally the way the politics of this world go. I think when you get a stalemate, you should get some health back. I might think that because in that exact moment of time, I would have liked to have got some health back. But it could be a way of taking the edge off of how annoying it is to get a stalemate. I'm getting too many blockages. I think one of the things that this maybe is going to suffer from is you need to get a interesting deck sooner, because at the moment the only thing I've got out of the usual is this arrow card, and I'm not getting very many opportunities to trigger it very early on, and that means that the game's not showing itself to me in the first like 10 minutes. It sort of takes a little bit too long to get to the point where you see what the point is, if that makes sense. There we go. There we go. When the bomb is destroyed, it explodes nearby tiles. I can get some shield. I should get some shield because I'm hurty at the moment. Drink it straight away. Yeah, that makes sense, Mike. It's the problem, isn't it? You kind of get new toys and then you just want to pop them out immediately. And What was that? Yeah, we're getting into the interesting mechanics now. Here we go. Oof. He nailed that. Ah, files arrows in a column, I see. So the thing going on here is that this is taking these out. I hadn't even paid attention to that. I thought it was like a benefit when the line triggered. But no, it's gonna... When you place it, it gets rid of stuff beneath it. I get it now. So if I put that there, is it going to shoot up and down and get rid of those? Yeah, okay. Cool. That makes more sense now. But it only triggers the turn you play it, and then it kind of just sits around. In which case, it's like the art that's on the tile should maybe go away or become faded or something after it's no longer relevant. Oof. Gonna have to start again. This music is wonderfully unhinged. It's so creepy. It's like we are a cute duck, but we're gonna go full Castlevania with the music. This kind of like creepy gothic bit tune stuff. Okay, we're starting from scratch. So we're going to have a combat or two where we don't really have much choice because we don't start off with any cool tiles. So we're just playing regular tic-tac-toe for a little while. The duck is he meant to be menacing? Who knows? Right, now we should do a little bit better because I at least understand how the arrows trigger. The lightning seems to have melded with this chicken. It's Raiden from Mortal Kombat, but in chicken form. Okay, that's a diagonal destroyer, the lightning one. So that's going to get rid of that for me now. See, starts becoming infinitely more interesting than tic-tac-toe when you can remove stuff from the board. Immediately making me wonder whether you can make a deck builder based on Othello or Go. And if you made Go the deck builder, how potentially brain melty that would be. What have we got? Switches with the next tile in hand after one turn. That gains one shield when you complete the row. That's cool. That's give us some survivability. I really like how grim and gloomy the world in this is. It's a really funny counterpoint to the cuteness. Every time I try and play Go, unless it's on a computer that enforces the rules for itself, my brain breaks down. There's certain things about the way that the game works that I find confusing. It's the encircling stuff, the kind of rules of how that works. So I definitely wouldn't be the right person to build a Go deck builder. Or then maybe I would be, because it would force me to have to learn how the rules work, because I'd have to program them. Okay, so I'm gonna save this till I need it. I'm gonna put that there. He's gonna block me. Then I'll put my arrows down and get the space back. So I just make them waste their turn, I guess. We're just going to get in a back and forth with this now, aren't we? So, okay. I have to make my route in a different way. There we go. But now those go, and then... Oh, okay. I was thinking if I hadn't killed them, they'd just automatically get a line freed up by that. Earthquakes or crit? 50% chance to land an additional hit. Sure. Why not? So we've got one that gives us shield if we score with it, one that does more damage if we score with it, and one that clears the board for us or clears above and below us. What's that? Doubles your combo damage. No, I don't want to get rid of my... That's a nice little system of like, you get shown a thing and you have to swap it for what you've got. That's a really nice way to make sure that you don't end up with like a massive bag of tiles, to make sure that you're trading them in for stuff. But I didn't want to get rid of my shield because it was the only thing that was giving me any survivability. I will trade these 3 regular ones for this double combo damage thing though. I don't have a very good sense of what is in my bag. This is my deck at the moment. So I've got 2 regular tiles, the arrows, the shield, the crit, and the double damage thing. Come on, Froggy. Ah. He's the discard. Okay, that wasn't obvious, but that's fine. Maybe he needs a trash can on the map so that you know first time what he's going to do. Right, I'm going to go there. Well, I know that they're going to go in the middle if I don't go in the middle. So I'm going to put... I want it so that my second shot can be an arrow that takes out their middle piece. So if I put this here and then they go in the middle, then I can put an arrow there and then hopefully they won't block the end. We'll see. Oh, fine. Fine. Be like that. I just want to block anything where they can place something diagonally to me now, because the lightning thing that they've got is, well, that's what it does. Oh, we're going to get stuck. I suppose if you sort of refuse to take their things off the board, then they're not going to go back into their pile as soon. Maybe? I don't know. I have lots of questions about how this works behind the scenes. And some of them it's just not clear. And I think some of it would be just more of this kind of, okay, they've got a little bag there, and when their thing goes into the bag, I can see it go into their little bag. You know, maybe these guys are carrying their little bags of tiles on a stick, and they leave it on the floor when they fight, and then I can see the tiles go in and out of that. Maybe something like that is already happening, but I haven't noticed it. It's not very obvious if it is. Oof. Don't think I'm going to be able to beat this, but we'll do our best. Oh. The special ability of that tile wasn't super clear. That's a one that does 3 damage. There was a one that splits. It's a cool ability. I'm going to stop going for the middle because I think that might be not helping. Doubles combo damage. I'm not sure what combo damage is, though. I think that was the problem there. I thought it would just, you know, double whatever I was doing, but it didn't. Okay, 50% chance to land an additional hit, and we're going to get our shield back, so let's go for that. Okay, that's good, because I can win either way that way. Oh, just by the skin of our teeth. That was so close. We'll get some lightning. I want to go up the mystery route. I want to go where there's a question mark. Does that shoot 2? Will it get that one at the bottom? Yeah, it will. Okay. Does anyone here play Peglin? I'm a big fan of Peglin. So what's that grey one? That's the 3 damage one. So that's the one that you definitely don't want them to be able to do anything with. It's pretty ducktastic. It's hard for me to tell so far. I love the general style of it. The kind of like creative direction of it being kind of magical samurai ducks and chickens. That's all good for me. That's very amusing. Some of the communication of what's happening is not always super clear, and I think it just needs to start you off with more stuff so you see what it is more quickly. I think if you think of build-based games where it's like, okay, you have 3 characters and they're not actually any different. It's just each one starts off with 2 of the different upgrades that you can get later on in the game, right? So if it's a deck builder, it could just be that you're presenting these 3 different things as different characters that you can be, and they're not really characters, they're just a different starting loadout of 2 or 3 things you get. And that would work very well here, because it really needs you to not start off with this set of vanilla tic-tac-toe tiles, because that really kind of hides the game away, hides away what's cool about the game. And I think visually everything is just a bit too big for me on the screen as well. I think if you're using this very chunky pixel art, push everything back a little bit, give it its own space, give it some space around it. You know, playing this on a big screen that you're sat where you're sat at the computer, it's like I'm looking all the way over there, all the way over there at stuff, and it's just so big I can't see what it is, you know. But I like it. I do like it. It's very, very charming. We're getting in the classic tic-tac-toe stalemate a lot early on because there's no other kind of rules to disrupt that core game. It's weird. It's almost like we're getting a couple of tutorial levels just to check that we know how to play tic-tac-toe, and that seems strange in a game that has it in the title. You know, why are we fighting a worker? Well, I think that might be one of those best not to think too hard about it type things. Yeah, healing when you're stalemating would work very well because this gives you like a little booby prize for not being able to do anything. 25% chance for 5 extra damage. No, I'm going to go for the lightning. I think the stuff that allows you to control the board is more helpful to get as much of early on, and then stack the damage stuff on top of that. That's my kind of approach. Yeah, the worker is it's problematic, isn't it? Are we saying that the duck here is some sort of scab? I think we might be. He's been brought in to bust the union. Yeah, getting heals on stalemates feels like it would be a good starting passive ability for like the first character. And then later on you could have something more interesting. But yeah, that feels like it would be a good way of turning that negative. It's not even a negative, it's just boring. You know, it's neutral. It's like, to some degree you're relieved that the other player didn't damage you. And to some degree it's just dull. Doesn't feel very exciting. Right. Oh. Are we the baddies? That's going to take that. See, this goes diagonally, so it's going to go there and take my green one out, but at least it will ruin what they're trying to do. Oh dear. We're going to get another one. Why do you hate me so, Samurai Duck? Yeah, then you could have characters where, you know, they've got a passive that is negative to them, so you're deliberately trying to stalemate and trigger your health, right? Because triggering a stalemate in tic-tac-toe, okay, it's not winning and it's not losing, but it is still better than losing. So I think making that something that you aim for in some situations would be good. Getting really stuck with this guy. We just don't advance because of the stalemate. It's really interesting that this game is it feels very well realized, right? There's a lot of content here in terms of enemies and stuff to collect, but the problem that we're butting up against is still a problem of the core design of tic-tac-toe, and not a problem of the core design of Tic Tactic. I find that very, very interesting. In order to resolve that and make this game a game that really shines, and I think this is already a very charming game with a lot of positive things going for it, you really have to resolve that question of what happens with stalemates. And at the moment, it's just nothing. Nothing happens. Everything comes off the board and we carry on, and then you often get back into the same situation. And if we can have it so that stalemates trigger something, and I don't think it should be punished, I think I would veer on the side of making it a positive state to build the board into, because then at least you're making progress towards something. Blue in the chat said it could be whoever gets whoever has more tiles on the board gets the stalemate effect. So I'd be triggering the stalemate by doing that, and then I would have more tiles than the other player, and then that would do something. Yeah, that could work. I've got a locked tile. It's stuck. I think I've just artificially increased my hand limit by doing some weird drag and drop stuff. This one isn't actually supposed to be here. Yeah, sorry about that, Luke. I'm not sure what's happening there, because I did set a thumbnail that was just like an image of the game. Probably just YouTube being stupid, because I set the stream up to have one. My favourite one that YouTube keeps doing is after I end a stream and it says it's just still going the next day. It's clearly not, but it says I've been doing a 48-hour stream or something. Luke, Ed's calling you a liar in the chat. Scope Sheep said about making the board bigger. That's an interesting one. So we used to do an exercise when we had students come for open days at the university. And I think this is taken from a game design book. I think it might be from I can't remember which one it's from. It's from one of the early 2000s like game design theory textbooks, where it's basically just getting people to redesign tic-tac-toe, and we would set that as an exercise for people to do as a university open day, because they've come in, they don't know how to program, you can't get them to do anything technical, so you want to give them like a raw game design task to do. So we would get them to play tic-tac-toe a little bit, then discuss potential problems with it, and then like come up with other versions of it and iterate on it. And I did that exercise loads of times when we were teaching a masters. We had a very weird masters course at the uni where I used to teach, because it was a game design masters, but it was like a track of a cultural industries masters. So you could have like people come in from a graphic design degree or a writing degree and just go straight into this games masters, and it was only about half about games, and then half of it would be things like professional practice and stuff like that. We did the same exercise there, but I would do it with a card game like Rummy or something to make it a little bit more interesting. And yeah, you just take the original game, you work through what you think the problems are with the game. Is there like you know, in tic-tac-toe, the reason you get the stalemates is because once you know how to do it, you can just always do it, and then that kind of spoils the fun. And it's what in competitive game design they refer to as a degenerate strategy, because it's a strategy that stops the game doing what it's supposed to do in terms of like the challenge that's supposed to be there for the players. So you would try and identify stuff like that and then tweak the game away from it. And the good thing about that exercise is you can also see if people, you can basically allow people to modify the game however they want, and you can see who is more driven by theme. For example, like if you give people a card game, who starts to latch on to, okay, well these cards are diamonds, so they're to do with money, and these cards are clubs, so they're to do with violence or whatever. Some people go down that route, some people might map things onto the colours, and you can start to see whether someone is like an abstract mechanics first type game designer or a theme first game designer. All of that is really helpful to do. I can't believe we just got through that with one life left. And I wasn't thinking about it because I was talking about, you know, how we teach game design. But the thing that always shocked me with doing the tic-tac-toe exercise was you set people up, you know, it's an icebreaker. They're there with someone they don't know. They sit at a table, they play some games of tic-tac-toe, and then you go, okay, what did you think? And so many of them are like, yeah, it's a really good game. I forgot how great a game it was. And you just think, okay, are you just telling me that you think tic-tac-toe is a good game because I've made you play it? So you think that I must think that this is a good game because otherwise I wouldn't have made you play it? Or you know, I don't know. I don't know how an adult could think that base tic-tac-toe has enough to it. But I find it very interesting that with this game we're still just hovering around the base problem of tic-tac-toe. And the reason I bring up the teaching and stuff is Scope Sheep in the chat said, could you just make the grid bigger? And every time we did that exercise, every year, that was like the first thing people did. Well, not everyone, but like there would always be a few people in the room where they just went, right, 4x4 grid. Tic-tac-toe with 4. Nailed it. Peak game design. YouTube's broken. Well, I don't think you... Yeah, if we made... I'm saying we as if this is a collaborative game project. If we made Stalemates do something slightly positive, the goal wouldn't be for them to then be the goal. The goal would still be to score your line and do damage, right? Because that's what you really need to do to advance the combat quicker. But stalemating could be like a slightly positive thing, like you heal up a little bit. And then what that would create is a sort of aggro versus control tension, which is what a lot of duel-based games have. So yeah, if you've ever played Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, you'll have heard people talk about aggro and control. And it's basically playing aggressively versus playing defensively. But in order to have those two kind of directions that someone can play in a kind of tactical game, playing defensively has to potentially build up to like a longer term big pow, which is why you usually get control type characters themed as wizards and stuff like that, because it's like they can't do much damage and they have to just block, dodge, and then build up to doing some big massive spell at the end or something like that. So yeah, I'm not thinking of it necessarily as, oh, it would be better if it was a positive thing, but I think it could be a slightly positive thing, and then dealing your damage would be the bigger positive thing to do most of the time. It's a difficult one. But it's definitely one that this game needs to try and deal with, I think. It should be on a Rubik's Cube. Yeah. That's true. You would constantly go for the stalemates when you needed the health, wouldn't you? Oof. I'm glad we got to check this one out for a bit longer today, because this is one of those ones where I get this quite a lot with deck builders and build-based games, where we do them on Indies Under the Knife. I look at them for like 20-30 minutes, and it's just hard to tell where the depth is in the game. And if there is depth in the game, you need a bit longer for certain types of games. It's hard to do that in a way that's fair when you're sort of also operating as a showcase. It's one of the problems with making games for jams. When you make jam games, everyone only looks at it for 5 minutes. So if you make something that takes 20 minutes to learn and it's in a jam, it's like you're potentially making a diamond and just like throwing it down a well. Maximum health. I'll have some maximum health, and then we'll go and find out what the blackbird is on the map. How long is the waiting line? Okay, so the submissions that go to Indies Under the Knife, you could submit a game and it will be on there in the next month, or it could take longer. It really comes down to, let me find my I can't minimize it. It won't let me minimize it. What's going on? What kind of hellscape is this? Let me find my process for that, and I'll answer your question in a bit more detail, because it will be helpful. I can cut this down into a little video, and then when other people have the same question, they can watch that video. Let me find it. I will have another run at that game in a second, but I can show you the Google form for submissions. I just need to get it set up so that it doesn't have the nuclear launch codes visible. Just hiding some columns in the old spreadsheet. So what happens when people submit a game? I'm going to just do this as a whole bit. I'm going to do this as a whole bit so we have a new submission process video. So I wish there was someone on the internet who would play the game I'm making and tell me if it's any good, and maybe even give me professional advice about things that could make it better. Well, that's the setup, right? That's me playing a character. I should have taken my glasses off so it looked like a different person. Well, you can just go to indiegameclinic.com on your browser. Go to the contact section on the website. You will find it says, if you are sending your game to be featured on Indies Under the Knife, please use this link. Click the link. Answer some questions about your game and provide some information about your game. And then your game will go into my spreadsheet. And what happens over here is that the games get submitted. I've hidden a load of the columns and rows here so you can't see the nuclear launch codes. But when your game gets submitted, I take a quick look at them and I put them in categories to try and create a hook for the stream. And that means that I can pick some games that go together, and the goal for me is to get people to watch the stream. The goal for you is for people who watch the stream to be the right people for your game, right? So what I'm trying to do is merge my goals with your goals as a game developer, which is not just random people looking at your game, but people who might be the end audience for the game. So what I do is I look at all of the games that are in the list, and you can see this is in kind of chronological order. So the oldest game on this list will be number 2. And then if we scroll down, then the most recently submitted games are down here at 86. There's lots of games in the list. And if you think I cover 4 games every Thursday, most weeks, so that's 16 games a month. We get through the games at a rate of about 16 a month, 4 lots of 4. But I don't just do them in chronological order because I'm trying to make a hook for the stream. So in order to make a hook for the stream, I will go on here every couple of weeks and I'll look through and I'll look at the title of the game. I'll look at whatever is provided for me. I'll go onto the itch page. I'll go onto the Steam page. I'll go onto the I'll go on to wherever I can see the game initially, take a quick look, see what sort of thing it is, and then try and come up with a hook. So here you can see that there are amazing hooks like space capitalism. And so I started blasting, mainly just because I want to put Danny DeVito on a thumbnail. And then down here, there's ones that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. So the time range could really change. There's like 4 months worth of games on here if I were to play every single one. But the more recent games don't necessarily have to wait longer because it really comes down to which 4 games can I put together in a way that makes sense. Because it can be really like a bad experience for the developers and for anyone watching if it's just 4 random games, which is kind of how I was doing this when I started out. So I try and pick things that are like the same game genre or that have the same mood or have something about them that ties them together. And that generally makes the stream, the Indies Under the Knife stream, more interesting because then we can kind of compare and contrast the games and we can say, okay, this game didn't do so well at that thing. How does the other game do it? And what can these games learn from each other, right? If they are, if these stream hooks are to get people to watch who like a certain type of game, but they're also to think about what the appeal of these games are. So if we have 4 games that are all trying to be cute, right, we can think about the art direction of those games and how does one game sort of work as a cute game and why does another game not work? The same with horror, right? Horror is a mood-driven thing. It's not really a gameplay-driven thing. What makes one of these horror games scary in a particular way and the other game not so much? And then sometimes it's mechanical. Sometimes it's we have 4 bullet heaven games, play them all together, compare them, see what the mechanics are doing in relation to each other. So in answer to the question in the chat, there's not always a kind of clear timeline for when things will get played. Generally, when someone's game has got scheduled, they will get an email from me about 2 weeks before to say, okay, your game is coming this Thursday or next Thursday or whatever. And then people know when the stream is. They get a link to the stream and they can kind of bookmark it ahead of time and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's the way I've developed of doing this over time. I used to do it all by email a long time ago. That didn't work. I then built the form and tried to do it chronologically. Chronologically just felt a bit rubbish because we'd play like 20 minutes of an RTS and 20 minutes of a hyper casual dodging game, and it just didn't go together. So that's kind of why we have things this way now. And that means that if I go on my homepage and create an Inception, that's why, yeah, upcoming live streams are done by theme. And we've got tomorrow even, we've got games that are kind of, they're not necessarily horror games, they are like mystery games that have some sort of horror background, or it's kind of spooky environment. And I put these ones together because they were all kind of set in the real world. You know, they're not fantasy horror. They are sort of set in particular historical settings like Victorian or whatever, and they felt like they went together. And then the week after, it is purely platformers, right? So you can see how those kind of groupings happen. And yeah, it's one of those things. When you're doing a live sort of service type driven thing like this, you have to keep reviewing what you do and how you do it. Unfortunately, recently that's just led to, you know, I went through every video that had my submission email address on recently and took it down. And I'm still getting emails from people about submitting games and stuff. And I found that a lot of the time in YouTube videos, if you had something in the comments of a video, or in the description, sorry, if you have something in the description and you change the description still stays there in like historical web searches and stuff like that. So I still frequently get emails from people where they should have submitted something to the form, and it's annoying. And I think people that actually watch the channel know by now that that's not how you do it, but I also understand that people are busy making their game. And I won't begrudge anyone for spending more time making their game than watching YouTube, because that's good practice. Devious Oatmeal has a plan to submit 5 games that all fit in the same category, yeah. And yeah, the other thing is we have a monthly stream that is just whoever submits a game from our Patreon. So that's like one of our bonuses of being a Patreon supporter. We haven't got to a point yet where the Discord for that Patreon is so big that I get too many games for that stream every month, but it will happen eventually, and then I'll probably just have to do 2 streams a month. Each turn plus 1 damage. So this the longer it's on the board, the more damage it does. That's cool. I want that. Just going back through the chat about Tic Tac Toe. Hot World says, as a video game, Tic Tac Toe feels more like a puzzle. The AI can either play perfectly or make a mistake, and the challenge is for you to see and exploit the mistake. Yeah, I have had a couple of moments where there was an obvious move for the PC, the computer to do, and it didn't do it. And I wonder if that is deliberate, because I feel like having a perfect AI on this would lead to more stalemates. And I think maybe we still have too many stalemates, and I think maybe the AI should have like a 1 in 4 chance to just do a random thing that isn't very strategically strong. This is the kind of setup you want to get into, because I put that there, and then if they block there, I can go there. And if they block there, I can go there. I would rather they let me use my stopwatch, though. It's got 3 damage now. So if I do that, I'll get 5 damage this turn. 1, 2, and then 5 there. Unless it ticks up before it does the damage. Yeah. That's pretty decent. There's a really good board game. Well, I think it's good. I know some people find it very painful. Roll Player, spelled R-O-L-L, where you're sort of drafting coloured dice and you're putting them in a grid to make a character sheet for a Dungeons and Dragons character. And you have all of these weird different goals from each other. Like, oh, this person needs to get the most green dice. This person needs to get the most blue dice. This person needs to get all 6s in this row. So you're sort of making a D&D character and also playing Sudoku with numbers and colours at the same time. I quite like that. Is it always raining? Well, I haven't got out of the blue area yet, so we'll give it a little bit longer and see if I can actually get out of the first area, because I haven't been doing very well at this in terms of making any progress. Oof. Health. An axe. Moves up the board each turn and destroys tiles. I feel like I should go for the health, which kind of sucks because I want to build my deck. I don't like that choice point, really, between do you get a tile or do you get your health back? Because it feels like it's not really a choice in a lot of circumstances. I think corners might be better starting points in this than the center, actually. Oh. Yeah, we do have a shop. I just think, like, choosing between kinds, like choosing between tiles is great, but when it's like tiles or health, that feels like the decision has been made by my health bar and not by me, you know? Ooh, Healy tile. Yeah, we do have that. That's kind of, we've got the market here, right? We've got a shop, but there's like a draft after each combat, like you often get in these kind of games. And just maybe don't like choosing between health and a tile in that situation. Falls into empty spaces, leaving droplets in its wake. Okay, so that's how you get the temporary tiles. That's cool. Okay, I'm going to go for a corner. So they've got the same one as me. They've got the rain tile. So I can do that and it will take the whole row. No, not the whole row, because they blocked me. Poop. Poop. Okay, so I'm going to score 2 lines there. So if I put my heel there, am I going to score 3 lines? Yeah. That was nice. That was great. That's going to take my shield out. Or my clock. I keep thinking that's a shield. It's a watch. It only gives you 1 point of health back. Which is a shame. That's going to go up. I think I can score 2 lines again. That's great. Being able to score 2 lines at once is really, really satisfying. So this is the one that chops their tiles. I'm going to put that there because that is going to move up next turn and take that out. That's going to move out of my way when it goes up that way, and then I could make another row there. When they start moving around, and not just destroying each other, but moving around, the gameplay gets really, really crunchy. Go for the max health. We've got a boss chicken, I think. I'm going to put that there so it takes 2 turns to get up there. Oh. Why would you do that? Stinky poo chicken. Oh, it's going to kill me. How do people on the leaderboard have 57,000 and I have 153? How is that happening? Is it because I'm fundamentally dumb at tic-tac-toe, which I think we've established may be the case? One more run, and then I've got to get off. I got some. I've got a few things to do today, but I've got sort of mentoring session with a student. Well, not a student, a mentee, whatever you would call that. Haven't used the earthquake tile before, so let's check that out. Right, that's going to drop tiles. So maybe I put these down low and then mess with them by... Oh no, he's already... Let me try that. Don't know what that achieved. Oh, I helped them. Of course. Go for the row. Takes 2 hits to destroy. Let's try that. I'm just always going to go for the ones that I haven't had, really, unless they sound really bad. Burn adjacent tiles. That sounds like something I might not be able to predict how it works. Okay. This is going to shake all the blocks down, so it could push this one down. This is the only one that's free to move, so it's going to maybe push that down and make a row? No. Alas. Yeah, some of the things just need a bit more feedback, like when that earthquake triggers, you see the earthquake happen, but you don't really see it come out of the block, you know? It's not obvious that the block is the thing that's doing it. Trying some different stuff out, but I just end up blocking us by different means. I feel like there's going to be some weird way to use the earthquake in a particular way that I haven't quite worked out yet. But I mean, that's not bad outcome. Whee! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Boop. Right, the frog gets rid of one of our tiles. Maybe we've got enough that it's worth it. Let me see. Just get rid of one of these standard tiles. What else have we got? Yeah, we'll go with that. It's kind of making me think that the shield and health tiles aren't that helpful because I'm doing a little bit better this turn and I didn't pick any of them. Boom. No, that's not good. There? Maybe? And then no, if I do that, they can score, so... Sometimes you just gotta go for the block. The earthquake tile really makes things a lot more interesting. Right, no earthquake tile there, because that will make this fall down and then make a row, and we don't want that to happen. If I put the earthquake tile here, these would fall down, and then I would make a diagonal for them, so I would end up scoring for them in that situation. Right, so the earthquake tile basically starts to make the game dangerous if you no-brain it, because you can put it down and manipulate the board into a position where the enemy scores. So... The positional manipulation tiles add loads and loads of depth, but they're kind of making the game more difficult or challenging in an interesting way. I would have this in someone's starting deck. It makes it so much more crunchy. So that would drop everything down, and that would make there, and then they could make a row there, so I shouldn't do that. I should do that. And then they're going to win. Who? It's very hard. I've run out of tiles, I think. I don't think I can do much about that. I just skip my turns because I don't have any tiles left. That's quite unsatisfying as well, because they're locked into the grid. Ooh. So I think what I would do with this game to solve some of the problems would be to make your entire deck be special tiles. And then I would make it so when you draw, you've got an infinite supply of vanilla tiles. And you always draw one of those and two of the ones from your deck. And then you can't get into this situation where you can't play, which is rubbish. It just doesn't feel good. It's maybe an avoidable situation, but it just doesn't. It's not a fun way to lose, right? And you need games to kind of feel like when you lose them. If it's a tactical or strategic game, you want the loss to feel like it's your fault as a player, and you want it to kind of be something you can kind of see coming and sort of enjoy in its own weird masochistic way. And that is not that kind of loss. You know, losing health, I don't mind. It feels right. It feels like a gradual thing that's happening that I could avoid by playing better. But running out of tiles, it's like, well, I was just placing them to play the game, you know? You can always draw a squirrel in Inscription. Yeah, exactly. I would have it so you always have 3 in hand, and 2 are from your deck, and 1 is the standard one. Because what you get out of that is like you can't run out. The choice is simplified because 1 of them is always simple and 2 of them are always more interesting. And then you get a base thing for like having a set of characters to run through the game with, because you just have them with different starting decks. You know, someone starts off with like all earthquakes and shields, and someone starts with fiery stuff, and I don't know. Maybe that's not the right approach, but I think there are a couple of problems here that sort of tie together, and one is not starting off with enough interesting stuff in your deck, and the other is being able to run out of tiles entirely, and the other is just the general stalemating that exists in tic-tac-toe. Yeah, it would potentially be information overload, but then, I mean, you're starting with a very simple game that everyone knows how to play. So maybe that means you do have a bit more kind of complexity budget to spend somewhere else. I don't know. It's hard to say. We'll go with the exploding stuff this time. I haven't got it before. I'm very wary of stuff that I might just accidentally blow up everything with. Oof. Foolish. Poop. That's better. Oof. That was good. It's a nice little clear out. I think we can get blocked this time. Yep. If you can clear them early, then you just end up with more stuff on the board, and then you also tend to just win. So having the arrows or the axe or the lightning and being able to position them in such a way that you just clear off like most of their stuff in one go, then you just kind of win by board control. Schlap. The tangle randomly shuffles adjacent tiles. Okay, why not? We'll go for it. Mysterious bird wants to make me a deal. No, you can't take my cool stuff away. My arch nemesis is back again. See, that doesn't feel like a very good thing to be able to do. Why did you get to place two things? I don't understand. Right, that's gonna score me a row and blow those up, so that's decent. Is there any chance that helps them? Yes. Yes, it does. Oh dear. I can see this getting really deep because your rows get, or your lines get removed after you've done them. So sometimes if you've got the opportunity to do two different ways of scoring, you then want to look at which one you can do because it frees up space and you might not want to free up a particular space. So that's kind of neat. Yep, stalemate's all we can hope for on this one, really, most of the time. And occasionally the odd heal is going to save me one more round. Damn. One life left. There's a chance I could do it. It feels unlikely. Do I want to go there and shuffle it? Is there a chance that could mess me up if I do that? I'm going to go for it anyway. I feel like I've got a little bit of advantage now because I've got my lightning tile. Oh. The water drop gets me every time because it looks like they're playing 2 tiles in the same one, but they're not. They're adding 2. I think adding 2 might be a bit broken. But I could have blocked that, right? If I'd have been aware of what the water tile does, which is drops down 1 and leaves a kind of temporary copy of itself, then I should have blocked that underneath and seen that was coming. But I keep forgetting that that's what that one does. Yeah. You know what? I like this game. I feel like I shouldn't. I feel like the base premise hasn't been sort of the base problem with Tic-Tac-Toe hasn't been solved in the making of this game. But I feel like it's a few tweaks away from being really, really, really brilliant. I don't think expanding the grid is the one. I think it's your starting deck composition, making something interesting happen when you are stalemated. Yeah, it's those kind of things. And just communicating what the different tiles do a bit better maybe as well. I think choosing between 2 special tiles and 1 generic tile each time would be an easier decision. Or a more interesting decision as well. And I think running out of tiles yourself because they're all out on the board doesn't feel good. But yeah, I like this game. Take a look at it. Give it a wish list if you find it interesting. Yeah, shifting and deleting the tiles is the game, right? When you don't have an enemy that does that, and when you're not doing it yourself, if neither character has the ability to shift the tiles around and delete the tiles, then it's just tic-tac-toe. And those are the things that start to make it interesting. Yeah, running out of tile pool and stalemate were the big problems. Yeah, thank you for joining today. I'm going to clock off in a second and go and do some things that aren't playing a video game. I appreciate you all dropping in. Tomorrow is Thursday, which means tomorrow will be Indies Under the Knife. And that's when we'll look at our spooky games. I think we're only looking at 3. I think one of the 4 games tomorrow, the dev actually emailed me and said it's not in a good spot. They did loads of iteration, but the new iteration is like not quite ready to be played. So that's kind of good to hear. I think sometimes you do hit a point in a project where you have to refactor your game so much or change the design so much that it is a bit like just smashing everything to bits in order to put it together in a new formation. And that means that, yeah, you will have something unplayable for a while. But sometimes you have to do that in order to make progress. And making little bits of incremental progress and not addressing the big problems in a game because you don't want to touch stuff because you know it's made out of plasticine and rubber bands is a good way to never really make the big changes that your game needs in order to really shine. So I'm always fine to hear when someone says, oh no, I've taken my game down for a little bit because, you know, I'm working on a much better version, and that version that was up there, I can't just replace it with a version 0.001 incremented because the changes I'm making are too big and fundamental. I think that's quite a positive thing to hear actually a lot of the time. Yeah, the tough decisions to smash your Warhammer army up and glue them all back together in different ways. Lots of good ideas in the chat about what to do with stalemates in this. I think it could be something that's triggered where your character gets a very small health thing. Someone just said it could be, you know, the weather happens, the lightning goes
and both characters lose health, that kind of thing. That would be an interesting thing from a balancing perspective, because it would probably help the player more on earlier levels where the enemies have less health, and stuff like that boss, it would make it even harder. I would love to have got past that boss and seen the second section of the game, but it's just a little bit too difficult, and I'm not sure if that's just because I wasn't paying enough attention as I was playing, so I was just fundamentally failing at tic-tac-toe. But as you saw in that last one, the water droplet really threw me off the dropping and cloning, because a lot of the other tiles don't make new tiles, they just move around or destroy tiles, and I think being able to make 2 tiles in one turn like that is very, very powerful in this game, because it's effectively, well, it's making a tile in a specific direction, but being able to add 2 at once is really, really, really not necessarily broken. I wouldn't call it that, because I didn't recognize it and counter it the way I should have, which was to just put something under it and stop it dropping. But it's interesting to think about within a given game, right? The possibility space in tic-tac-toe is just these 9 tiles. What do you do with these 9 tiles? When you start introducing something like you can put down 2 things at once, like how big an effect does that have in the context of the rules you've got in your game? And yeah, it's just interesting. Right, thank you folks. Thank you for dropping in, and I'll see you all again.